Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Let's Play Murder on the Orient Express, where we are going to examine things. Oh, there was a key in the back pocket. We've already got it. This one. What does it say here? Pass through locked doors. Good. But we are going to something, investigate and chat with people, and I think it probably makes sense to work our way from the back.
The door to the Athens-Paris coach is locked.
We've asked for the key, though, haven't we? Sigh.
The key worked.
Hooray! So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back. Oh no, I didn't want to go in. I wonder if people are actually in their rooms. I think it makes sense to start at the back, just work our way forward in a very procedural way. Do you have a plan to the Athens-Paris coach?
Do you have a plan to the Athens-Paris coach?
Si, señorita.
Did anyone pass between this car and the Calais coach last night?
Did anyone pass between this car and the Calais coach last night?
Only Pierre. He came through and we talked for a few minutes about the snow and what it will do to the schedule.
When was this?
Sometime after 1 a.m. A few minutes only. We talked for 10 minutes or so. Then Michel fancied he heard a bell. He opened the doors between the two coaches and we both heard it plainly. A bell. Ringing repeatedly. Michel ran to answer it.
Okay, so that basically means between 1 and about, was it? Wait. No. Yeah, between 1 and about, say 20 past. It wasn't that. Because it was about 10 past that we heard them. You boarded the train at Belgrade.
You boarded
Belgrade.
the train in Belgrade.
Si, señorita.
Why were you so late? Your passenger must have boarded by himself, and you yourself almost missed the train.
But this is not so. I was preparing my car as it was being attached. I myself welcomed the Greek doctor and showed him to compartment 13.
So basically, that person we saw running in wasn't the conductor then, or wasn't this fellow? Conductor? They're not conductors, are they? No, they're porters, I think. Which rooms are occupied?
Which rooms are occupied in this car?
The Greek doctor is the only passenger. He is in room 13. I have taken room 15 there to sleep in, and room 16 for my equipment. I hope it is all right. Pierre Michel is using room 11, the chef de cuisine is in 9, Lucien the waiter is in 1-2, the engineer is resting in 10 when not attending to the boiler, the fireman rests in 3-4.
What equipment?
I am a ham radio operator. Usually I carry the equipment in the baggage car. There is no time to use it when I'm on duty, and anyway, no power. But when we were stopped so suddenly, I thought to check it and found my telegraph key destroyed. I don't understand it. It was packed carefully. I brought the rest here to my room to keep it safe.
Au revoir, monsieur.
So it was destroyed, assumedly, so he wouldn't be able to communicate with the outside. Do I have any more information about him? So he is... Matteo? Yeah, did not pass from Athens, Paris to Calais. But Pierre Michel... yeah, from 1 to 116 vouched for by Matteo. Oh, it was 12:37 that we heard him. That must be... was it Hubbard? No. Right. If there's anyone in the rooms. Right, there's no one in this room because it's vacant. The radio, which I think is going to be a puzzle. Vacant. Constantine. He may not be in there at the moment. Ah, he is. Hello.
I don't think he's in the mood for conversation.
Okay. No one here. Michel, but he's also not here.
I'll take that key, Mr. Hardman. If you don't give it to me, I can have a couple of the train's staff take it from you.
I'd like to see them try.
Would you really?
earth are you doing in here then?
What were you doing going through Michelle's belongings?
Your job.
You know I'm assisting Monsieur Poirot.
Sure. Begin the interrogation.
What's your profession?
What is your profession?
I'm a salesman. Typewriting ribbons.
Do you always travel first class, Monsieur Hartman?
Sure. The firm pays my traveling expenses.
So where are you headed?
Where is your destination?
Paris.
And from there?
New York.
What were you doing outside Monsieur Ratchet's window?
What were you doing outside Monsieur Ratchet's window?
Okay, there were footprints there. Man's shoe, but not a large one. Size 7, maybe. I followed the tracks, then it looked like whoever made them put on some snowshoes and headed out over that deep snow near the back of the train.
Couldn't we have measured... Oh, yeah, that's more a Holmes thing to do, isn't it? Than random person who just likes the idea of fiction. What can you tell me about the murder?
What can you tell me about the murder?
Nothing at all.
That is a pity.
Can I have your passport?
May I have your passport, please?
It's in my room. 16. Help yourself.
Perhaps, Monsieur Hartman, you could tell me why I found a blackjack, or sap, as I believe it's called, in your suitcase?
How do you know what it's called?
Crime is a hobby of mine.
Yeah? Well, why don't you try knitting instead? You people are serious about this investigation, aren't you?
Of course. You have heard of Monsieur Poirot?
Yeah, I have. I think I better come clean, or I could find myself in a lot of hot water here.
I would advise you to come clean.
Okay, I don't know anything, like I said. But I ought to know something. That's what makes me sore. I ought to. My passport's a bit of a bluff. That's who I really am.
Please explain.
I showed up at the appointed time. Ratchet put me wise to the situation.
What situation?
He showed me a couple of letters he got. Threatening letters.
Did he have any idea who they were from?
Did he have any idea who the letters were from?
Well, Ratchet described him to me.
What?
Sure. Said he was a small man. Dark, with a kind of womanish voice.
Did he seem alarmed by the letters?
Did Monsieur Ratchet seem alarmed by the letters?
Pretended not to be, but he was rattled all right.
And what instructions did he give you?
What instructions did he give you?
I was to travel by the same train he did to Paris and see that nobody got him. That's the thing. I did travel by the same train, and in spite of me, somebody did get him. I feel sore about that. Doesn't look any too good for me.
Did Monsieur Ratchet not tell you the man's name?
Nope.
Ratchet was Cassetti, the Armstrong murderer.
No kidding. Should have recognized him. I mean, I suppose I saw photos of him in the papers and everything. Well, that explains it. Cassetti made a lot of enemies in the American underworld. He often skipped when the heat was on, leaving his partners in crime to face the music. Some assassin finally caught up with him. Say, I've really fallen down on this thing. And with a famous detective like Mr. Poirot on the case, too. This won't do my rep any good with my boss, Mr. McNeil, if it gets back to him.
I'm in the same predicament, Monsieur Hartman, believe me.
You are? Well, that's good. I mean, bad for you, but... Say, listen. If we could keep the mess I've made out of this thing between ourselves...
I must tell Monsieur Poirot everything.
Oh, sure. I'll have to swallow my professional pride there, but if we can keep it on this side of the Atlantic, maybe, I'd really appreciate it.
I'll see what I can do.
Do you know anyone connected with the case? I'd prefer if this was one of the earlier things you can ask, because then you can play it off as kind of, I'm asking everyone. Please tell me your movements after dinner last night.
Please tell me your movements after dinner last night.
I played some cards with that Italian guy at the front on the coach. Then when people started turning in, I went back to my room. Stayed up all night. Had my door a bit ajar so I could keep watch. But nobody could see me. You get it?
I understand how it is done, yes.
Do you know anyone connected with the case who matches that description?
Do you know anyone connected with the Armstrong case who matches the description Monsieur Ratchet gave you?
Well, that's hard to say. They're mostly dead, aren't they?
Yes, Mrs. Armstrong, Colonel Armstrong, the nursemaid who threw herself out a window.
Stretch
I
Armstrong.
remember now. The nursemaid was suspected. She killed herself even though she was eventually cleared.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. Snow is very bright. So, yeah, that nursemaid was a foreigner, I think. Maybe she had some foreign relations or something. But that wasn't the first time Cassetti had run that kidnapping stunt. I bet there are lots of people had it in for him.
Do you smoke?
Do you smoke, Monsieur Hartman?
Sure, I've got some cigarettes in my room. Come on by this evening after things quiet down. I can be far more entertaining than that mouse of a woman in your room.
No, thank you.
Is there anyone here who can confirm your identity?
Is there anyone on the train who can confirm your identity?
My credentials are taped to the bottom of the table in my compartment along with my real passport. I'm sure you can find them.
Could you see the attendant from your position?
Could you see the attendant from that position?
Sure. He sits on that little seat right past my room.
Can you describe his movements?
Let's see. He answered a couple of bells after the snow stopped us. Went back into the rear coach for 10 minutes or so. Then there was a bell ringing like mad and he came running back. I got a bit nervous over that. But it was just that talkative American dame raising hell about something or other. Bit later he headed off to make somebody's bed up. Then he settled in.
Set someone's bed? Because it was afterwards, so about 1:30, 2 in the morning? Beds would normally be made up earlier than that. I think normally they'd be made up around at dinner, unless particularly asked not to. I say like I'm an expert. Did you see anyone moving up and down the passage?
Did you see anyone moving up and down the passage?
Nope.
Au revoir, monsieur.
Didn't see the person in the red kimono. Engineer. No. Oh, he's out in the train, isn't he? Got us. Oh, shit.
I've already searched it thoroughly.
It's worth a try, though. Worth a try. Oh, vacant. Said I wasn't going to look in those. Fireman. He must surely also be on the locomotive. Yes. And Lucien. Can't remember what his position is. Right. What have we got now? Is that McQueen? Nope. What was his name? Hardman? Oh, no, we know more than that, my dear. We've changed. What we know something different about him now. We've already chatted with you, haven't we? No, we haven't.
I've remembered something else I wanted to say.
Because, of course, we kind of went all the way back. Did you leave the car at any time last night after Belgrade?
Did you leave the car at any time last night after Belgrade?
Well, I did go back to talk to Matteo, the attendant in the Athens-Paris car.
When was that?
Not long after one.
How long were you gone?
A few minutes only. One of my bells rang. You remember, it was the American lady. She had rung several times.
Well, did you see anyone moving about last night after we spoke?
Did you see anyone moving about last night after we spoke?
The English colonel returned to his compartment. No one after that.
Did anyone call you last night after we spoke?
Did anyone call for you last night after we spoke?
Yes, I made up the bed of the young American gentleman, Mr. Rachet's secretary.
At what time?
It must have been about a half hour later.
1:45.
About that, yes. The English colonel from number 15 was with him. The colonel went back to his own compartment as I prepared the American gentleman's bed.
It's a little late to be making a bed, 1:45 in the morning. That's a question I'd like to ask. Sounds dodgy.
When was the body discovered?
The valet of Monsieur Rachet, he tapped several times at the door this morning. There was no answer. Then, half an hour ago, Lucien, the waiter, came. He wanted to know if Monsieur was taking déjeuner. It was 11 o'clock, you comprehend.
Continue.
I opened the door for him with my pass key. But there is a chain, too, and that is fastened. There is no answer, and it is very still in there, and so cold. The window open, I borrow the engineer's hammer, and break the chain and go in. Monsieur Rachette was... oh, it was terrible. The chain was fastened. It must have been suicide?
I'm sorry, Michel. A person does not commit suicide by stabbing himself 12 times.
No, I suppose not. This will mean so much trouble for the Express.
Yes, I'm aware of that. Does that give us... I'd like to have a little thing. Yeah. Cyrus Hardman did not leave. Substantiated by McQueen and attendant. Wait, hang on. Oh, Colonel Arbuthnot. Oh, come off it! I'll just learn more facts about him. It's like, no, you haven't. We're getting quite close to a locked door mystery, aren't we? What with the fact that there's a locked door involved. There was no way out, because it was locked from the inside. Is this the real one? No, I think this is the fake one. Cyrus Hardman, private investigator.
I'll put this into my scrapbook so I can take a closer look at it later.
These are the hinges. Okay. Not sure I see the point in doing that. Right. No. Right, it's letter. Dear sir, you've been pointed out to me as an operative of the McNeil Detective Agency, one of the most reputable private detective agencies in New York, as I have reason to know. Kindly report to my suite here in the hotel at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And that's yes, we've already looked at that. Very interesting then. We'll meander down. See who we can chat with.
Colonel Arbuthnot, I do not believe we've been properly introduced.
I expect the formalities must be winked at in a case like this, mademoiselle. The attendant told me you are acting on the Frog Detective's behalf.
I am the Frog, monsieur. Hercule Poirot is Belgian.
Exactly.
Apologies. No offense meant. Your accent's a bit of mid-channel. Difficult to pick up.
Calling Belgians frogs. If you're going to insult a nationality, at least insult the correct one. I'm not sure. Actually, is there an insult for Belgians? I don't know. I don't think there's one in English.